We are recording.
Start.
Oh, it's been a while.
Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKItteh.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is the Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages, a blind read-through. And today we are covering Chapter 4. What a chapter, Kitty.
Indeed. Quite a lot of character change. I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite think we're at Atheist Sazed yet. It felt like when we left off with the last book, we were at Atheist Sazed. And Breeze himself in this chapter, and we're going to talk about Breeze, Breeze himself was like, you're not cut out to be an atheist in this chapter. And I'm like, but if he's actively looking for a religion, even if he's doing it in such a jaded way, I'm not convinced yet that he's an atheist.
He's not completely hopeless.
Yeah, he has to have full-on no hope. None of them are right. It's done. And maybe he'll get there when he makes it through his catalog of what he remembers.
Yeah, eventually he's going to. But we've got compulsive Sazed in this chapter. Like, it's a compulsion for him to be working on these religions. It's actually quite sad.
Yeah,
because he properly, it's the only thing he wants to really do, and he has to stop himself from doing it, just to because Breeze is there. He's fighting this all by himself.
Yeah.
He's in anguish.
Yeah, and poor Breeze tries so hard to help him. Okay, so let's talk about Breeze then, shall we?
Okay.
I sincerely hope. I would not wish PTSD on anyone, but I hope that we will get to explore some of that with Breeze in this book. And I was expecting to, and I don't think it's unlike Breeze to put on a brave face, so to speak. And we are a year removed from that event. But as far as we can tell in this chapter, it seems as if Breeze is just up and running and back to normal again. And considering where last we left off, I was expecting a slightly more serious Breeze. So to have him come back and be his seemingly jolly old self was a bit of a strange experience for me. What do you think of all that?
I think it's explained well enough, and I think we'll get it when the time comes. I think it would be too heavily packed. We're not in his POV, so this is what he looks like on the outside. We have just a hint of what happened with him, that Sazed brought him back. Okay, something about how Sazed treated him brought him back. He does thank Sazed for that in this chapter. Yeah. And that's a nice hint at, okay, there is something, this is how he came back, this is how he improved, and there is even Sazed's thought of, well, your woman didn't die. So there's a whole journey that we will hopefully become privy to, but I didn't expect it to be here in chapter 4. I don't need it to be at his first appearance, especially considering the time lapse.
Yeah, that, and a couple of quick things to that. It was my presumption that Breeze was thanking him specifically for that night when he was in a catatonic state and Sazed got him up and moving. I didn't get the impression that there was stuff after that point or anything uniquely specific after that point. But I will add, not necessarily to counter what I've said, but to highlight some other dynamics at play here. The scene would not play the same and would arguably take away from Sazed's nihilism to have both of these characters here be in their own funks.
Yes, exactly.
So that would not play as well. Beyond that, there isn't really anyone else that could fill in Breeze's place. One, because what happened to Breeze. So it's him we are expecting, or at least him I was expecting to have that PTSD journey. But also Breeze is the soother and they're on a diplomatic mission, so it has to be him going. So I do want to appreciate those elements at play here as well.
Yeah, I appreciate them too. And there is also that, considering the whole they're on a mission thing, Breeze might just be putting on a brave face as best he can because he's focused on the job.
Yeah. And then we get to the LaCall of it. I guess we're front loading all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the map said it was called LaCall City or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with that. I thought LaCall House was wiped out in its entirety based off of what Jastes said in Well of Ascension. But apparently the atrocities done to him were by his own family.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if I'm alarmed at the evilness and the depravity of House LaCall, or if I'm disappointed that LaCall House is still around and think maybe there should have been someone having taken over LaCall thing. I'm sure there'll be a reckoning for LaCall House.
Yeah,
some
it is
degree
hinted
that we'll
at.
be privy to. Yeah.
It is kind of hinted at with Breeze going, well, they're lucky that Erland hasn't wiped them out because of what Justice did.
Yeah.
There are grounds for that, but they're like, no, let's extend a helping hand here.
Yeah.
But remember, Erland. This is Erland who accepts really horrible things for the greater good. So maybe he's like, well, we need to unify. Basically, is what he's uniting them, Dorkus. Yeah. So he wants to unify, and this is the easiest way on a diplomatic mission.
Yeah. Do not trust King LaCall.
Yeah. But he could be suitably coward. I mean, his signature was very small, so.
Yeah. Shall we get into the chapter then?
Yes.
This is actually what happened to Reshek, I believe. He pushed too hard. He tried to burn away the mists by moving the planet closer to the sun, but he moved it too far, making the world far too hot for the people who inhabited it. The ash mounts were his solution to this. He had learned that shoving a planet around required too much precision, so instead, he caused the mountains to erupt, spewing ash and smoke into the air. The particles in the atmosphere reflected sunlight and made the world cooler, and turned the sun red. Lore
drop! There we go. Yeah, lore drop, we did. We had it.
Science lore drop.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, there you go. Just casual. Hey, by the way, this is why we have ash mounts, because he moved the planet too close. Like, confirmation. I mean, we had this idea. Kind of like, that's what happened. He did something wrong with the planets, right? When from the previous epigraph, we spoke about this. So here's confirmation that that's what happened. And also, we know now, which was already our hunch, it's not Reshek, because Reshek wouldn't refer to himself that way.
Yes. Absolutely.
Is this Vin?
I don't think it's Vin.
Yeah.
I do not think it's Vin. I mean, we know this is the hero of ages, and we don't think Vin's the hero of ages, or at least I don't.
So what this is... Who would this be?
Yeah. Because, well, I guess I'm the hero of ages, apparently, epigraph comes after the knowledge gained from the Well of Ascension. And after that point, Vin doesn't... Well, I mean, I guess maybe if Vin thinks she's still the hero of ages, that she did what she was supposed to do, and if she maintains her memory and knowledge from that event, it could be, but my money is still on Sazed.
Okay, so well, either way, this is in the future.
Yes. I don't think Vin did what she did at the Well of Ascension still concluded that she's the hero of ages and decided to journal about it. I think
Okay.
these epigraphs are coming after the world is saved.
Do the epigraphs talk about themselves being the hero of ages?
Yeah, I think it was the very first one. Well, I guess I'm the hero of ages, apparently.
Oh, yes, that one. Number 1. I'm unfortunately the hero of ages.
Unfortunately, apparently.
That could work. I am the hero. If it was Vin, I am the hero of ages. She was, and actually, look what she did. There was no hero of ages, kind of thing. It could still work. You could still twist it.
Yeah, but we've still got the I think in chapter 3. And all in all, it feels too thoughtful.
Yeah.
Not to say that
Doesn't
Vin isn't thoughtful, but Sazed is thoughtful to the
and
max.
I don't see Vin journaling. Maybe I don't know.
Watch, someone's gonna suggest to Vin that she starts journaling in this book, and that's gonna be a red herring.
Yeah. It
Not
would
in the
be.
prediction log.
It would be. It would be a red herring. That's exactly what our reaction would be, I think.
Yeah. Sazed, chief ambassador of the new empire, studied the sheet of paper in front of him. So,
New name.
yes, or title.
New empire.
Oh yeah, new empire.
Yeah, and yes, chief ambassador.
Yes, I still prefer L Land. Good one, Kitty.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
What do you mean you get it? You're the one that came up with it.
Did I really? I don't remember that at all. I thought I think that's too brilliant. I don't think I did that.
No, it was you.
Really?
We've got it in a previous episode.
Nice. Wow. Well done, Kitty. That's funny. You made us laugh. Okay.
Yes. Good job, past Kitty.
Sorry, it wasn't memorable. Anyway.
Chief Ambassador is a good title for him. I was expecting, with the understanding it's been a year, I was expecting Hermit Sazed, or Sazed off doing things on his own. To find that he's been working with Alan. Again, not a problem that he is. It was just a little bit of surprise there that he has been taking such a prominent role. What do you think? Were you...
I wasn't that surprised. I think because I'm like, yeah, okay, he's got a new title. He was already like in charge at the end there. And it would be difficult for him to say, hey, listen, I'm out of here. Because the world is not the world is not fixed yet. So I feel like it would be okay. And I think going on when you find out how miserable he is anyway, I think it's fine. It works.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I want to clarify, I don't mean surprised in a bad way, just surprised as in, oh, no, I had expected him to go out into the world solo for a bit to do the soul searching. And that's not what happened. So ergo, surprised. But also, it's like not like he could go back to Terrace. And frankly, it would probably be very dangerous with Terrace hunting Inquisitors out in the wild. So the safest place for him is probably with Elend.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also is where the refugees are now. So, oh, and we'll talk about the refugees when we get there. The tenets of the Kazi people, it read.
Have you just forgotten the N there?
What?
Mine says Kanzi. Is yours C-A-Z-Y? Z-I.
Mine is C-A-Z-Z-I.
Wow! Why would you do that? Mine is C-A-N-Z-I.
Wow.
It's almost the letters of my name. Anyway.
The tenets of the ThatDarnKItteh people, it read. The tenets of the Kazi people, it read, on the beauty of mortality, the importance of death, and the vital function of the human body as a partaker of the divine whole. The words were written in his own hand, transcribed out of one of his copper mines, where he had storages containing literally thousands of books. Beneath the heading, filling most of the sheet in cramped writing, he had listed the basic beliefs of the Kazi and their religion.
Right, so we immediately get this idea okay, he's going through we're like, I immediately was like, oh, okay, I get what he's doing, because he's going through, there's no other reason he would go through religions for ambassador reasons. This is definitely
Mhm.
personal.
It's
Um,
definitely personal, and I didn't necessarily think it was. I was sort of close in my estimation to what I
mm,
think he was doing. I thought he would be looking for things that differ from his own memory to
mm,
try and figure out what ruin has changed or not. That's not quite what he's doing, but it's
mm.
kind of close.
Yeah, you thought that he was building on the knowledge of the last book. You know, that was quite a reveal.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and or it was just something about, you know, like just recording. I thought initially, actually, my one of my initial reactions was, okay, so he's finally, look, he's got thousands of books stored, but actually they now need to be disseminated. He actually needs to disseminate that information now that they're free. They need to be written. The books need to be written and circulated. So maybe that's what he was doing. That's what I was thinking. That he's putting together a book, but that is quite positive. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't think he would be one to continue that line of work,
Yeah.
even here.
Yeah, after, why would he be spreading religions after he was so disillusioned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sazed settled back in his chair, holding up the paper and going over his notes one more time. He'd been focusing on this one religion for a good day now, and he wanted to make a decision about it. He had long known much about the Kazi faith, for he'd studied it, along with all of the other pre ascension religions, for most of his life. Those religions had been his passion, the focus of all his research. And then the day had come where he'd realized that all of his learning had been meaningless. That's a belief statement right there, and that is
Mm-hmm.
where we left off at the
Yeah.
end of the last book.
Yeah, we have him.
And we're still in that early phase of the book where we're trying to recap everything that happened in previous books.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't find it burdensome or tiresome. It's not repetitive Sanderson. It's,
Normal.
yeah, normal recap woven in well enough to introduce us to the characters or reintroduce us.
Mm-hmm.
Sakazi religion contradicts itself, he decided, making a notation with his pen at the side of the paper. It explains that all creatures are part of the divine whole, and implies that each body is a work of art created by a spirit who decides to live in this world. However, one of its other tenets is that the evil are punished with bodies that do not function correctly. A distasteful doctrine in Sazed's mind. Those who were born with mental or physical deficiencies deserved compassion, perhaps pity, but not disdain. Besides, which of the religion's ideals were true? That spirits chose and designed their bodies as they wished, or that they were punished by the body chosen for them? And what of the influence of lineage upon a child's features and temperament?
Yeah, this is way off from what Sazed was like, because Sazed would, these questions would have been the questions posed by
It's
somebody.
faith.
Yeah, but these questions would have been these questions would have been questions posed by somebody he is preaching the religion to, right?
Hmm.
And then he would give them, you know, the belief statement and the reason. Oh, it's still beautiful. It's still very important. You know, he would find the value in the religion anyway, regardless of the contradictions. That's what he was like. He was like,
Yes, precisely.
and that's what he would teach other people. But now he is, it's very much, he's in his doubt and his criticism, and he's not looking for value, or he's judging it. He's very much judging it. He's not going to give make any excuses for it.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if you work with metaphor and so on, you could probably come up with ways to square some of those circles.
Mm-hmm.
Although I
Yeah,
think that last point about genetics is a
yeah,
pretty hard one to argue against when it comes to
yeah,
this particular religion.
yeah, exactly. And there might, I mean, there might be that's another thing later on when he refers to the fact that, you know, these religions are all died out. People, I suppose, if they had people that lived these religions would have tackled
Mhm.
these, hopefully, these questions, and they
Yeah,
might have had answers for him, but he doesn't have that.
precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's working with very, very limited, altered information. And I will say it is noteworthy that he doesn't have any thought in his mind about the fact that words have changed and this isn't
Yeah.
necessarily trustworthy. That was a little frustrating for me. Because like
Yes.
I said, I was expecting him to be looking specifically, not necessarily for contradictions, which he is, but for things that don't jive with his own personal memory.
Mm-hmm. We get to it a bit later, but it seems like at some point it teases it. So I'm like, oh, he is thinking about it. He is thinking about the changes, and he absolutely is not. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
damn. I'll let you know when it gets there.
cool. He nodded to himself and made a note at the bottom of the sheet of paper. Logically inconsistent. Obviously untrue.
I found that really funny, actually. The way that he just goes, obviously untrue. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
a lot to write. He is so jaded that he's just like, okay, it's untrue. There you go. He doesn't have the scholarly waffle, whatever. He's just like, nope,
Mhm.
inconsistent. Ticked it off. Boom, done.
And we saw this battle be waged in the last book between Tyndwell and Sazed with the look at the discrepancies. These
Mm.
all contradict each other. Sazed's
Mm.
very much taking a leaf out of Tyndwell's book here. He's very much trying to take the Tyndwell approach now.
Yeah, just dismiss. That's it.
Mm-hmm. What is it you have there? Breeze asked. Sazed looked up. Breeze sat at a small table sipping his wine and eating grapes. He wore one of his customary nobleman's suits, complete with a dark jacket, a bright red vest, and a dueling cane, with which he liked to gesture as he spoke. He'd regained most of the weight he lost during Luthadel's siege and its aftermath, and could reasonably be described as portly once more. So,
He's recovered. There's his physical recovery at least.
yes. Sazed looked down. He carefully placed the sheet alongside the many others within his portfolio, then closed the cloth-wrapped board cover and did up the ties. It is nothing of consequence, Lord Breeze, he said. You seem to always be puttering around with those sheets of yours. Whenever you have a free moment, you pull one of them out.
We're starting with the description of compulsive Sazed. Like, he's very busy with this. And he's so gloomy. You know, the difference, just the way he's interacting with Breeze, and it's like there's nothing of consequence here. It's like he's not nice and kind or whatever. He's just very abrupt compared to what he used to be. It's not that he's rude completely, but his tone is definitely different. You can see he's not improved in the past year.
Yeah, agreed. He's very short.
Mm-hmm.
For a terraceman.
Hmm.
Sazed set the portfolio beside his chair. How to explain? Each of the sheets in the thick portfolio outlined one of the over 300 different religions the keepers had collected. Each and every one of those religions was now effectively dead, as the Lord Ruler had stamped them out early in his reign some 1,000 years before. 1 year ago, the woman Sazed loved had died. Now he wanted to know, no, he had to know, if the religions of the world had answers for him. He would find the truth, or he would eliminate each and every faith. This is a man on a mission.
Mm. I was like, I don't even think it. By this point already, I was like, I don't think it's about finding answers. It's about keeping yourself busy, delaying the inevitable pain. I mean, there is pain. He is in pain, and that's why he's doing it. But it's kind of like, if I find the answer, I won't. I'll be able to heal. I'll be able to deal with this. And it does. Yeah, I feel like he has an idea that he's probably going to eliminate every. Sorry,
Yeah,
is that background noise in the way?
probably, but continue.
No, I'm done with it.
Okay. I have a couple of things I want to say to this. I'm going to sound sacrilegious for a moment, but I will
Mm-mm.
try to explain in more depth. In this moment, I imagined suggesting to Sazed, you know what? You should make your own religion. And
I don't think that would work, but okay, continue.
no, not necessarily, but it's more like I would like to know what he would say to that if I were to suggest that to him. I think there's a small bit of irony in me suggesting this to him because I believe he's the hero of ages and will likely be doing something to that effect in the future,
Whether he likes it or not.
whether he likes it or not. But then I have to explain, if I understood the Dune lore correctly,
Mm-hmm.
in Dune, all the religions of the world gathered together and they spent like a super long time basically doing what Sazed was doing, like trying to hammer out each and every inconsistency and trying to like pull the very best of each and every religion and compile it into what I think ended up being the Orange Catholic Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what spawned the idea to ask Sazed this question.
So, with this, were they trying to just come up with the best religion, or like that they could pick parts of each religion to get down to the best?
I think it's that. I think it was more like they were just trying to do some sort of compilation that
Uh,
everyone could unify under, or something to that effect.
okay, so they unified religion. They like fine,
Tried
everybody
to.
gets in here. Yeah, they tried to. Okay.
If I recall correctly, it
Mm.
didn't work out.
Yeah, I
But
don't think it would.
yeah. So
But I do think that there is, at this point, this is when I was thinking, okay, what is his journey in this book? What would he do? He's going to have to find peace with the fact that Tyndall is gone. In some way, he's going to have to find that peace, and I don't know how it will happen. I was trying
mhm.
to figure out how that would happen, what he would realize about religion for that to happen. And I am seeing what he's saying, that he's just gonna cancel, he's gonna eliminate every faith. That's what I think he's going to be doing. He's not gonna find the truth.
I am in agreement.
Yeah.
Breeze was still looking at him. I would prefer not to talk about it, Lord Breeze, Sazed said. As you wish, Breeze said, raising his cup. Perhaps you could use your ferrochemist's powers to listen in on the conversation happening in the next room. I do not think it would be polite to do so. Very short Sazed, and
Mm.
also stupid Sazed.
Yeah.
You listen in if you can. That is an important conversation. And if you have to flee,
Yeah. You
like they
figure it
could be
out
talking
now.
about poisoning you,
Mm-hmm.
sending your heads back to Elend with a message.
Yeah. At this point, I am wondering why on earth wouldn't he do that? And oh, he wants to be polite. We do figure out why later on in why he's not doing ferrochemy, essentially.
Yes.
But he is kind of lying there. He
A
basically
little
keep this in
bit.
mind when he says, "I don't think it would be polite to do so." It's like he's just making an excuse.
Yeah. Again, and he's really trying to like just not have a conversation with Breeze
Mm.
right now.
Mm.
Breeze smiled. My dear Terraceman, only you would come to conquer a city than worry about being polite to the dictator you're threatening. Sazed glanced down, feeling slightly abashed, but he could not deny Breeze's remarks. Though the two of them had brought no army with them to Lakal City, they had indeed come to conquer. They simply intended to do it with a piece of paper rather than a sword. Ironically, like the rest of this conversation, or part of the conversation, I found myself thinking, they're sounding a little bit like Set.
Really? That
Yeah.
they're threatening and they're bullying. Or what do you think?
Yeah, essentially. When they outline the arguments, and we'll get to those arguments,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds a little bit like Set's justifications for things that he did.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that. It all hinged on what was happening in the next room. Would the king sign the treaty or not? All Breeze and Sazed could do was wait. He itched to get his portfolio out to examine the next religion in the stack. He'd been scrutinizing the Kazis for over a day, and now that he'd made a decision about it, he wished to move on to the next sheet. During the last year, he'd gotten through about 2/3 of the religions. Barely 100 remained, though the number was closer to 200 if he took into account all of the subsects and denominations. And he
Yeah.
does seem like someone to count all of the subsects and denominations.
He's being very thorough, but yeah, this idea of like itching to continue with his work. And okay, I've done this one. I've done one. I need to go to the next one, like, immediately. Like, literally, he's just finished it. He's not taking a break. He wants to go to the next one. This is what I mean by compulsive. Like, he has this real need to just always be doing this. And
He's
it's,
grasping for a lifeline.
yeah, and it's taking over all of his time, or all of his thought, at least, because he wants to be doing this. He actually really just wants to. This is a really important thing that's going on here, right? We're trying to. You
Yeah.
could be dying. You like you said, this dictator could come out here and want to give your head on a platter to Elend. All of that, he's not even considering that. He's just, the only thing he's thinking about is, how can I get onto the next religion?
Yeah.
And how far he is through the list. And also it establishes for us this kind of timer of until Sazed really gets to despair, when he's gone through all of the religions and found nothing.
Yep. And we'll learn it later in the chapter, but all of these religions he's going through without the help of his metal mines.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a smart boy. He was close. Over the next few months, he'd be able to get through the rest of the religions. He wanted to give each one fair consideration. Surely one of the remaining ones would strike him as containing the essence of truth he was searching for. Surely one of them would tell him what had happened to Tintwell's spirit without contradicting itself on a half a dozen different points. But for the moment, he felt self-conscious reading in front of Breeze, so Sazed forced himself to sit and wait patiently. The room around him was ornate, after the fashion of the old imperial nobility. Sazed wasn't used to such finery, not anymore. Elend had sold or burned most of his lavish trappings. His people had needed food and warmth during the winter. King Lakal hadn't done the same, it appeared, though perhaps that was because the winters were less harsh here in the south. Bit charitable, but, I mean, possible, but a bit charitable.
Yeah, he was not going to burn his finery, so it's just giving us a little bit of an idea. Okay, so, oh, also, by the way, it's this dictator we're talking about is Lakal, and yeah, we're getting an idea of what he's like.
Yeah, and again, that is already flavored through.
Mm-hmm.
They killed my whole family, Elend, and they chopped the heads off the babies and put them on spikes.
Mm.
Poor Justice.
Stupid justice, but
Stupid
yes.
Justice. So already I have this expectation for who King Lakal is.
Mm-hmm.
Made worse by the fact that he is a Lakal in the first place. Sazed glanced out the window by his chair. Lakal City didn't have a true palace. It had been a mere country estate until about 2 years ago. The manor house did have a nice view over the growing town, which was more a large shantytown than a true city. Still, the shantytown controlled lands that were dangerously inside Elend's defensive perimeter. They needed the security of King Lakal's allegiance, so Elend had sent a contingent, including Sazed, who was his chief ambassador, to secure the loyalty of the Lakal king. That man deliberated in the next room with his aides, trying to decide whether or not to accept the treaty, which would make them subjects of Elend Venture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fine. At this point, I'm like, okay, fine, if they accept. This is not over. Now he's going to be your problem. He was a problem before, but now he's just your problem in your empire. So
Yep.
enjoy. And I'm like, and Elend is running around fighting. Well, he has to. I understand, but yeah, this is his empire is really being run by a jaded Sazed, which is not good.
Yeah. I want to know who took Dockson's place.
Mm-hmm. Who could? Nobody could.
Nobody could.
Mm.
Or everybody could. Maybe it was, what was the name of that obligator? The dorky one?
Oh, I've forgotten his name, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it would be him, that the weird, the too joyful one.
Yeah. Chief Ambassador of the New Empire. Sazed was not fond of his title, for it implied that he was a citizen of the Empire. His people, the Terrace people, had sworn to call no man master again. They had spent 1,000 years being oppressed, being bred like animals and turned into perfect, docile servants. Only with the fall of the final empire had the Terrace become free to rule themselves.
So this paragraph, sorry, as soon as I got into this paragraph, It's like, wow, he actually has a little bit of rage, which I didn't really get too much from him before. This is kind of, look, I know it's recap as well, but I don't know, I just got this sense of he's got a bit of resentment. Of course it's well founded, but it's just weird to get it from Sazed, because Sazed was all good, and he would understand, okay, this is horrible, but he wouldn't dwell on it, I don't think. I don't know, I just found from that, okay, he's a bit angry. He's actually getting into he's feeling his negative feelings now. He's letting himself do that.
I agree with everything you've said. The interesting thing to me about that segment was how he chafed at being a citizen of Elend's
Mm.
empire, knowing how much he respects Elend and
Mm-hmm.
so on. I appreciate the justification of the Terrace people, perhaps, for not wanting to be citizens.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that in just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because I have questions about like legal rights and representation and taxes, things
Yep.
that I doubt are going to get answered,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to know. Only with the fall of the final empire had the Terrace become free to rule themselves. So far, the Terrace people hadn't done a very good job of that. Of course, it didn't help that the Steel Inquisitors had slaughtered the entire Terrace ruling council, leaving Sazed's people without direction or leadership. Sazed's people,
Mm-hmm.
obviously not, he doesn't feel like he's their leader, although it kind of suggests that he is their leader later
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah.
I think here it means his, the
They're
Terrace
his.
people
Yeah,
of
they're
his,
of him.
of
Yeah.
which he's a part. Yeah.
Mm.
In a way, they're hypocrites regardless, he thought. So Lord Ruler was secretly a terraceman. One of our own did those horrible things to us. What right do we have to insist on calling no foreigner master? It wasn't a foreigner who destroyed our people, our culture, and our religion. And also did
Gosh.
what he did to the Ska. And
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is really negative Sazed, who's just not considering. Like, he goes into the dark places first. Okay, he does go and have consideration for, okay, no, I'm being a bit harsh or whatever. So he still has that other thought process, but he first goes into anger and, oh, well, resentment for, oh, well, it was a terraceman who did that, which is a silly, silly argument. Like, oh, well, because the Lord Ruler was a terraceman, we must hate terrace people. That's stupid.
yeah, look, what Rishek did does not necessarily fall on the rest of the Terrace people.
No, it's all on him. Literally, he was the one that had the power to do that. Sure, the obligators and people bought into his empire, absolutely. But yeah, you don't, that's just plain old racism if you're just like, well, because Lord Ruler was a terroristman, we must hate the terrorist people. It's like, that's a bit stupid. That's silly.
Yeah. And so Sazed served as Elend Adventure's chief ambassador. Elend was a friend, a man Sazed respected like few others. To Sazed's mind, the survivor himself hadn't possessed Elend Venture's strength of character. Will this Kelsier slander never end? But also
Yeah.
he's right.
Yeah, but also, we don't even have the word Calcia. We have the survivor now in his head, which is very strange.
Yeah, I don't like it.
He's Calcia, man. Calcia. Remember Calcia?
Kelsier did the best he could with the situation he had
Mm-hmm.
and accomplished. I mean, it's questionable right now whether or not it was good because they don't know if they're going to defeat Ruin or not. But at the time, it seemed like the best course of action.
Yeah, it's just this, and the way he goes, the survivor himself. It's like there's still a high. The title of the survivor is it's a high praise kind of thing, but at the same time, the fact that he doesn't remember Calcia behind it. Also, it's just all these little bits of look how Sazed has changed, look how Sazed thinks, look how jaded Sazed is.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad. That's all I'm saying. It's not it's so well done, but it's so sad.
The Emperor hadn't tried to assume authority over the Terrace people, even after he had accepted the refugees into his lands. Sazed wasn't sure if his people were free or not, but they owed Elend Venture a large debt. Sazed would gladly serve as the man's ambassador. Okay, so we now know officially where the refugees are, and we
Mm-hmm.
kind of presumed they would be brought in.
Mm-hmm. And then Sazed says, I don't know if he doesn't know if his people are free or not, which is like, free? What do you mean? Like, and he's just said that Ellen didn't try to assume authority over them. He's trying to make them. Seems like Ellen would try and make them a special ally.
Yeah. So, do they have a terrace quarter in the city? Uh, will they pay taxes? Are they citizens or are they not citizens? It
Yeah.
seems to me there's so much focus on, again, going back to the Elend of it. Elend thinks of himself as a tyrant. It feels like this thought of Sazed's is going hand in hand with, therefore his people must not be free. But I'm prepared to bet that Ellen's citizens are probably the freest of any citizens in
Mm-hmm.
their world right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Would they? What would they be if they're just fine? If they have their own nation, they don't have their own lands. They're a nomadic bunch now. Yeah, they have to decide what they are. They're in quite a critical stage of their society, but it's not like it completely gets eradicated if it becomes part of Ellen's nation.
Yeah. Sazed would gladly serve as the man's ambassador, despite the other things Sazed felt he should be doing, such as leading his people. And that right there is the line
Mm-hmm.
that states him as the leader.
Yeah. Well, he is. Yes, he was kind of kicked out of the synod, but he had been in the synod, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's the last known ferrochemist.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Sazed thought, glancing at his portfolio. No, a man with no face cannot lead them. I must find the truth for myself first, if such a thing exists.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of leader he would make right now anyway.
Yeah.
Very, very jaded. So yes, he still has that duty on him. He's like, okay, yeah, I do need to lead them. He's talking about having no faith and that's why he can't lead them. But I don't think he's not gonna find it, but yeah, him depressed Sazed is not a leader you want.
Correct. Although I think the longer he puts off being their leader, the harder it will be for the Terrace people.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly is taking them long enough, Breeze said, eating a grape. One would think that after all the talking we did to get to this point, they'd know by now whether they intended to sign the thing or not. Sazed glanced toward the elaborately carved door on the other end of the room. What would King Glakal decide? Did he really have a choice? Did we do the right thing here, do you think, Lord Breeze? Sazed found himself asking. Breeze snorted. Right and wrong don't come into it. If we hadn't come to bully King Lakal, someone else would have. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
set line right
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to basic strategic necessity, second set line.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's how I see it. Perhaps I'm merely more calculating than the others. The next set line. Sazed eyed the stocky man. Breeze was a soother. In fact, he was the most brazen, flagrant soother Sazed had ever known. Most soothers used their powers with discrimination and subtlety, nudging emotions at precisely the most opportune times. But Breeze played with everyone's emotions. Sazed could feel the man's touch on his own feelings now, in fact, though only because he knew what to look for. Nice quick recap.
Yeah, but I'm like, what is he trying to make you feel? Tell us.
Yeah.
But also like, hey, Breeze is subtle. Okay, you're just more aware of it.
Yeah. If you will excuse the observation, Lord Breeze, Sazed said, you do not fool me as easily as you believe you do. Breeze raised an eyebrow. I know you are a good man, Sazed said. You work hard to hide it. You make a great show of being callous and selfish, yet to those watching what you do, and not solely what you say, you become far more transparent. So this is dual use right here.
Mm-hmm.
It switches up the prose to a bit of dialogue, which I know Sanderson highly advises doing when dropping exposition over prose stuff,
Mm-hmm.
over the narration.
Mm-hmm.
But also it serves to show that Sazed, as you've been saying, is being very direct right now. A happy Sazed wouldn't be so blunt about this.
Yeah, absolutely not. He's very observant. He would keep these thoughts to himself. But he's actually just he's kind of confrontational. It's not that he's being mean to Breeze or anything, but he's actually like, hey, here is my thought. This is what
Yeah.
I actually think of you, and usually that's really not what we get, and it is very direct. It's not trying to beat around the bush, whatever. It's right, straight, direct, forward, and
Yeah.
and it's just weird from Zarzed. It's not mean, but it's weird.
Right. Breeze frowned, and Sazed got a little stab of pleasure at surprising the soother. He clearly hadn't expected Sazed to be so blunt.
Yeah, and he gets a stab of pleasure from surprising him. This is very weird. This is not something I'm used to with Sazed. Like he gets a little bit of a haha about that, and that just doesn't Sazed doesn't seem like a haha kind of guy. So
Yeah.
very interesting. Maybe it's also giving us, okay, this is opening Sazed up. So this pain that he's in is opening him up to different kinds of approaches to life, which actually might be useful later on.
Yes. My dear man, Breeze said, sipping his wine, I'm disappointed in you. Weren't you just speaking about being polite? Well, it's not at all polite to point out a crusty old pessimist's dark inner secret. Dark inner secret? Sazed asked. Is that you're kind-hearted? It's an attribute in myself that I've worked quite hard to discourage, Breeze said lightly. Unfortunately, I prove too weak. Now, to completely divert us from this subject, which I find far too discomforting, I shall return to your earlier question. You ask if we are doing the right thing by forcing King Lakal to become a vassal to Elend? Sazed nodded. Well then, Breeze said, I'd have to say that yes, we did the right thing. Our treaty will give Lakal the protection of Elend's armies. That's the next set line.
Mm-hmm.
At the cost of his own freedom to govern. That was an interesting little bit of information there, because it suggests how Elend is now ruling his empire, and it makes me wonder how Set and Penrod and the other one, Yanarl,
Mm-hmm.
might react if they have any power, or if they're getting the Lakal treatment. Then again, Lakal didn't immediately, he wasn't there at the inception like the other three were. Point being, I want to know now exactly how tyrant Elend actually is being or not.
And this at the cost of his own freedom to govern, just having gone through what he's talking about with the terrorists, what he was thinking about with the terrorist people, this comment also links back to that for me, where it's like maybe the terrorist people want their own freedom to govern. They will not be free if they're part of Elend's empire.
Yeah. Bah, Breeze said, waving a hand. We both know that Elend is a far better ruler than Lakal could ever hope to be. Most of his people are living in half-finished shacks for the Lord Ruler's sake. Is that a Set line? Would Set
No,
make that justification about himself?
no, he wouldn't care about the shacks.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, but you must admit that we bullied him. That's how all politics is. Yep, that's a Set line if I ever heard one. Sazed, this man's nephew, sent an army of Kolos to destroy Luthadel. He's lucky that Helen didn't simply come down and wipe out the entire city in retribution.
Yeah, there you go. We have that. So he is,
Yes.
but
So the line, Sazed, this man's nephew, sent an army of Kolos to destroy Luthadel. Clearly, they... I don't know how to express what it is that I want to, or how to articulate it, other than to say that, again, I thought Lakal House was wiped out, and I don't expect Breeze to make the distinction, perhaps, between the uncle and the nephew being adversarial to each other, but and make no mistake, I have no doubt that this Lakal is worse than the last Lakal. Yeah. We have bigger armies, more resources, and better allomancers. Total set line. This people will be far better off once Lacal signs that treaty. Set line. What is wrong with you, my dear man? You argued all these same points not 2 days ago at the negotiating table. I apologize, Lord Breeze, Sazed said. I find myself feeling contrary of late. Breeze didn't respond at first. It still hurts, does it? He asked. That man is far too good at understanding the emotions of others, Sazed thought. Yes, he whispered. So sad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you are Breeze or the crew at this point, do you just let him go off to process on his own? At what point do you be like, hey, we're basically your family, so we're gonna like pull you out of the muck and you just have to let us?
I think, yeah, after a year, you're gonna have to do that. You've given him a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think it's, and by pulling out of the muck, I don't mean expecting him to be happy. It's more like, okay, let's talk about it. Open up about it.
Sometimes you just have to drag the depressed person out of bed and to the party,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if they're kicking or screaming.
Yeah, I don't think a party is even necessary. I guess he is out and about and doing stuff, but I think what would be more important is to pull his emotions out of him, make him talk about this.
Yeah, I agree. It will stop, Breeze said. Eventually. Will it? Sazed thought, looking away. It had been a year. It still felt as if nothing would ever be right again. Sometimes he wondered if his immersion in the religions was merely a way of hiding from his pain. Look, yes, I agree that that is what you're doing, Sazed.
Well done.
Breeze probably only knows about Tyndwell. But what coincided with Tyndwell's death was the knowledge that all of the religions you've studied have been altered, and you don't have any thoughts about that in this chapter, which I find very frustrating because I'm still shooketh from that
Mm-hmm.
revelation. And I feel like that should be playing a big part in your search through the religions. How can you trust any of it? It's not that you, you should be looking for the one true religion. It's that you should be like, how can I trust any of it
What was
at
changed?
all?
Yeah.
What was changed?
I think maybe he will stumble upon that. It's possible that he will stumble upon it and be like, because right, there is a lack of care. The only thing that he wants is to know what happened to Tyndall's soul. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care
Mm.
about Ruin. Doesn't really, yeah, he has a little bit of care about the terrorist people and whatever, but the pain and staying away from it through researching these religions, it's really too emotional for him to be thinking about Ruin and all of that stuff. That's too hopeful, actually. That's too active, and what, it's too positive, actually. He is here just going through these religions. I think it'll come to him later on, and I don't blame him for not focusing on that,
Mm.
because he's just so, honestly, he's so torn.
Yes. If that was so, then he'd chosen a poor way to cope, for the pain was always there waiting for him. He had failed. No, his faith had failed him. Nothing was left to him. It was all just gone. Look, Breeze said, drawing his attention, sitting here and waiting for Lacal to make up his mind is plainly making us anxious. Why don't we talk about something else? How about telling me about one of those religions you have memorized? You haven't tried to convert me in months. I stopped wearing my copper mines nearly a year ago, Breeze. Big drop.
Mm-hmm. So, but he is saying copper mines, so that's where he gets the information from. So we're like, okay, it's just the copper mines, but no, it's all of them.
But you surely remember a bit, Breeze said. Why don't you try to convert me? You know, for old time's sake and all that. And obviously, I don't think he wants to be converted. I think he's trying to get Sazed back to how he was kind of a thing. Remember your
Yeah.
love of this.
Yeah, exactly. Just hey, tell me one of those things that you're interested in. You always have something to say about that. Hmm?
I don't think so, Breeze. It felt like a betrayal of his legacy. As a keeper, a Terrace ferrochemist, he could store memories within pieces of copper for later withdrawal. During the time of the Final Empire, Sazed's kind had suffered much to gather their vast stores of information, and not only about religions. They had gathered every shred of information they could find about the time before the Lord Ruler. They'd memorized it, passed it on to others depending on their ferrochemy to maintain their accuracy.
And
Yet they'd
there,
ne-
so
Hmm?
there, when you meant depending on ferrochemy to maintain their accuracy, it's like hello. So I thought, okay, this is the point where we're gonna start. We're gonna get a bit of the recap of Ruin having changed or being able to change what's in a metal mind. Hello.
Yeah.
I thought that that's what we were going to get to. This is the point at which I was like, okay, he's going to go through that. Nope.
Yep. I agree.
Especially with the word accuracy. Maybe, is that just teasing us?
Possibly. Yet they'd never found the one thing they sought most urgently, the thing that had begun their quest, the religion of the Terrace people themselves. It had been erased by the Lord Ruler during the first century of his reign. Still, many had toiled, bled, and died so that Sazed could have the vast storages he'd inherited, and he had taken them off. After retrieving his notes about each religion, writing them down on the pages he now carried in his portfolio, he'd removed each and every one of his metal mines and stored them away.
Like, why? What are we taking? Why are we pushing that away? That part of us away? I suppose, yeah, he doesn't want to have that knowledge in his mind, but he's got it written down there.
Yeah. You see, again, I was thinking he might have gotten rid of them because they are no longer trustworthy, not
But,
because of
yeah.
him being jaded.
But writing something on paper, as he writes it, it already could be altered, you
That
know?
too.
So I don't know if it was about accuracy, yeah, putting it on paper.
They simply didn't seem to matter anymore. At times, nothing did. He tried not to dwell too much on that, but the thought lurked in his mind, terrible and impossible to banish. He felt tainted, unworthy. As far as Sazed knew, he was the last living ferrochemist. They didn't have the resources to search for any right now, but in a year's time, no keeper refugees had made their way to Ellen's domain. Sazed was it. And like all Terrace stewards, he'd been castrated as a child. The hereditary power of ferrochemy might well die with him. There would be a small trace of it left in the Terrace people, but given the Lord Ruler's efforts to breed it away and the deaths of the Synod, things did not look good. I don't believe that this will be the end of ferrochemy.
Yeah, it cannot be. It simply cannot be. It's just the beginning.
There'll be a rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
The metal mines remained packed, carried along wherever he went, but never used. He doubted he would ever draw upon them again. Well? Breeze asked, rising and walking over to lean on the window beside Sazed. Aren't you going to tell me about a religion? Which is it going to be? That religion where people made maps, maybe? The one that worshipped plants? Surely you've got one in there that worships wine. That might fit me.
I like that from Breeze. I was like, okay, yeah, Dionysus, go on.
Exactly. That's literally where my mind went.
Mm-hmm.
Please, Lord Breeze, Sazed said, gazing out over the city. Ash was falling. It always did these days. I do not wish to speak of these things. What? Breeze asked. How can that be? If there were a god, Breeze, Sazed said, do you think he'd have let so many people be killed by the Lord Ruler? Do you think that he'd have let the world become what it is now? I will not teach you, or anyone, a religion that cannot answer my questions. Never again.
Shoo.
That is very angry, very jaded Sazed.
And he's shown it to Breeze, and this is the first time Breeze is actually hearing about it.
Yeah, in fact, the next line is Breeze fell silent. I also think that argumentation is common for
Mm-hmm.
people who fall out of religion is they look at the very, very worst
Mm-hmm.
of humanity, the worst of the world, and say, what kind of God would allow this to happen?
Yeah, and they have proper anger at like no, Stephen Fry will say, "Fine, I'll be angry if I am confronted with God when I die. I'll be angry at him for letting all those things happen." He'll argue with him.
Yeah. Sazed reached down, touching his stomach. Breeze's comments pained him. They brought his mind back to that terrible time a year before when Tindwyl had been killed, when Sazed had fought Marsh at the Well of Ascension and had nearly been killed. Through his clothing, he could feel the scars on his abdomen where Marsh had hit him with a collection of metal rings, piercing Sazed's skin and nearly killing him.
So at this point, I was like, oh, okay. At this point, I'm like, oh, okay, that's also why he's not wearing them, because he's got some inside him at least. Well,
Yeah.
what did you think?
I thought about what we know about the Terrace religion having piercings and Alendi needing to get piercings, and then I thought about the Hero of Ages probably needing some sort of piercing, and then, oh, whoop, Sazed's the Hero of Ages.
I mean, he does have piercings, though. He had earrings and things.
He does, yeah, but this felt more foreshadowy to me than descriptions of earrings and stuff. He'd drawn upon the ferrochemical power of those very rings to save his life, healing his body, engulfing them within him. Not long after recharging them and storing up enough health, however, he'd asked a surgeon to remove the rings from his body. Despite Vin's protests that having them within him would be an advantage, Sazed was worried that it was unhealthy to keep them embedded in his own flesh. Good Sazed, smart Sazed.
I'm with Vin. I'm like, nah. That's it. You got a hidden power there.
Just get a hip replacement. Besides, he had just wanted them gone. Breeze turned to look out the window. You were always the best of us, Sazed, he said quietly, because you believed in something. I am sorry, Lord Breeze, Sazed said. I do not mean to disappoint you. Oh, you don't disappoint me, Breeze said, because I don't believe what you've said. You're not meant to be an atheist, Sazed. I have a feeling you'll be no good at it. It doesn't suit you at all. You'll come around. Eventually.
Oh, I really love that from Breeze, and I'm like, that's what we want to say. That's what I want to say to him, you know?
Yeah.
That you know, you're going through it right now, I understand, but I hope you'll make your way back to it. And it's very weird it's fun. Entertaining, interesting, that these people that aren't really interested in religions or anything like that, they still want Sazed to believe. That it's a key part of Sazed. So it's not that about them believing, it's like we need someone to be believing. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Sazed held his peace. He was considered brash for a terraceman, but he did not wish to argue further. I never did thank you. For what, Lord Breeze? For pulling me out of myself. For forcing me to get up a year ago and keep going. If you hadn't helped me, I don't know that I would ever have gotten over what happened.
So that's where the pulling out of myself part is where I'm like, okay, it was more than just that moment.
Yeah, I can see that interpretation, but it really doesn't jive with me. This idea of jaded Sazed leaving almost immediately to go to the conventicle of Saren to spend his time trying to draw out Breeze's old personality.
This is true.
That job really should be an Alrion thing, not a Sazed thing.
I think maybe he's just referring to the fact that he did literally on the day. That's was a turning point, yeah. So that was a turning point, and it's still worthy of thanking him because he would have just disappeared there. That was a very big step. So yeah, I'm in agreement. You're right.
Or by a Kolos.
It does not make sense that, you know, this jaded Sazed would help him. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Sazed nodded. On the inside, his thoughts were more bitter. Yes, you saw destruction and death, my friend. But the woman you love is still alive. I could have come back too if I hadn't lost her. I could have recovered as you did.
Okay.
Oof. It's a thought. He knows it's bitter.
Yeah. But it's actually quite telling. Like, he knows he's gone. You know? He knows he's gone. He's like, I could have come back. So he's in that sentence. He knows that he is gone. Oof, it is very difficult. So well done. It's because it's so difficult to read that and know it's Sazed. It just shows you how this character has been built over time, and now he's going through such a huge change.
Yeah. The door opened. Sazed and Breeze both turned. A solitary aide entered bearing an ornate sheet of parchment. King Lakal had signed the treaty at the bottom. His signature was small, almost cramped, in the large space allotted. He knew he was beaten. The aide set the treaty on the table, then withdrew.
I don't know so much about him knowing he's beaten. It's like, is that the size of the trust you should give him?
I do not trust Lakal. Elend knows what happened to Jastes, even if Elend killed Jastes for what Jastes did. Take Jastes's words as a warning and be cautious.
Like, is it really going to be that pleasing to the people that, oh, well, I didn't kill your leader? It's like, yeah, but you could have, though. It would have been nice.
Ska probably wouldn't mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But maybe Elend is trying to be non-violent.
Yeah, he's giving opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, start with diplomacy, and if that fails and you have to war for moral and righteous reasons, okay, but give peace a chance first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Okay, a functional chapter. It catches us up on where Sazed is right now and fills us in on what's happened in the last two books.
Yeah.
Not bad. So we're still very much in the setup phase for the book, I think.
Yeah. We know what's going on in the Empire with the rest of the Empire while Elend's jumping around killing Inquisitors and things like that. Everyone's very busy.
Yep.
Like the video!
If you like. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you, Kitty, for joining me on this wonderful adventure that is Sanderson.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Breeze sipped quietly at his wine. Nothing of consequence. You seem to always be puttering around with those sheets of yours. Whenever you have a free moment, you pull one of them out. What?
Gordon just farted. Gordon! We're recording! I mean, the noise cancellation got it, but I obviously heard it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Continue.
Will you mind if I put this in the outtakes, or do you not want it?
I don't know when it... Hold on, I'll ask him. Gordon, would you like to... my laughter, okay, at your fart, is that okay to be in the episode? He's okay with it. He's proud of his fart.
Excellent.
It was so good. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay. It doesn't help that you're laughing. Okay.
You're making me laugh.
I hope you can hear. I hope you can hear it in the recording. Like maybe it just says a or maybe you were being polite. You're like, wow.
I didn't hear it. I wish I did now.
Anyway. Sorry, just getting rid of this background farter. Bye. Okay.